Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis from Drone Camps RC, and we have something really cool on the bench today. And I know there's been other reviews out there on the internet. The Hubsan X4 Pro has been out for quite some time on the internet and on YouTube, as you've seen from the other reviews. But if you stumbled upon this one, you stumbled upon a good one, because Drone Camps has been around for years, and I'm going to have fun with this one. And we're going to fly it. We're going to show you what's included with it. I'm going to do a quick unboxing, and we're going to show you how to set yours up. If this is your first time with your Hubsan X4 Pro, this video will be great. I'm going to show you some things that the other videos might not have shown, because I did take a look at some of the other guys' videos, and I saw the things they missed about the X4. So we're going to give you an updated version of this. This one is the low edition. There are 3 editions available. Let me spin this around real quick and I'll show you the editions that are available. You have the high edition, which is the most expensive, probably around $1,000, but you have this really awesome H7000 smart transmitter with around a 5-inch screen on here. So you have full telemetry on here and data up top, and you have a patch antenna on this one. Very similar to the patch antenna on the medium and the low edition, but these 2 transmitters are a little different. A 3.5-inch screen, I believe, are on these 2, and you have 2-axis stabilization on this one, motorized stabilization, and then on this one down below, it's a gimbal with a 1-axis stabilization, kind of like with a little servo swivel. Only goes up and down for that axis, so you don't have motorized horizontal stabilization, only up and down. And then you have grommets right on top of the hard mount right here to the copter, so it takes away that jello in the video. So you should still get smooth video with the low edition. If you want to spend a little less on this one is probably below $400 for this box. And let me spin it around on the other side here. We'll show you the back. This is what I'm excited about, because they don't have parachutes on most of the other consumer quads out there. For under $500, getting a parachute with this, it's actually pretty cool. So let's go look at one more side of the box here. Quite a big box. You see 2.4 remote control series, 5.8 FPV system. That's pretty standard. GPS, return to home, autopilot, stability mode, altitude hold, all that cool stuff, as we expect on an aerial quad these days. You also get automatic return to home switch on the transmitter, and you have a fail-safe in case you lose signal. It'll return to home and land. You have compass sensor. Flight time on this is around 30 minutes. It has a really big battery inside the quad. When I opened up the box and I looked at the battery the first time, it was gigantic, probably about this big around. So 7,000 milliamp is definitely a huge battery, actually bigger than one of the original Phantom 3 batteries, which is pretty awesome. And the camera that comes along with it is a 1080p standard HD camera. And down here, I don't know what that means. It says can carry all the intelligent mobile phone. Broken English, Chinese translation from Google maybe, but we'll figure out what that means a little bit later. So let's go ahead now, let's spin the box around and do a quick unboxing for you to show you what comes with the X4. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get into this box. This is the X4 Pro Low Edition, and this is the manuals that's included here. It's an English manual. Hubsan X4 Pro. It's got all the information about your transmitter, the on-screen telemetry, LiPo power, and some other information about how to put your prop guards on and all that good stuff. They have their disclaimer in here, and they have some warnings, some special warnings in here not to fly near airports, high power cable lines, magnetic fields, etc., etc. So we'll go ahead and set that to the side. Now we'll get to the good stuff. Take this top off. I like to see that they use this recyclable paper material rather than using plastic or styrofoam. Now here it is, the X4 Pro. Really nice looking. We'll go ahead and take this up and look at this from the bottom. Like I said, this battery in this is huge. We've got our 5.8 antenna stem coming out the side there. We're going to screw on the antenna just a little bit later. Should give you a really nice range. You have built-in LEDs front and back. This is that 1-axis gimbal that I was telling you about, that's servo operated. And pretty tall landing gear on the bottom here as well. And this looks like this will plug right into the side of the camera that comes along in the box. You also have a micro USB port here on the side of the drone. And your props will be spin-on props, and those are labeled A and B here. And you got your battery in the back with XT60s on there. That's really nice they include XT60s, because I can use this on my standalone charger, and I can charge that with my regular LiPo charger, which is really cool. You don't have to use the one that comes with this, but it does come with a nice charger. So I'll set that to the side. We also have in here the transmitter itself and the parachute in this box. We have the prop guards here. We have 2 sets of propellers in here, which is pretty cool. We also have the sport cam. This is the 1080p sport cam. And in this box I have the cell phone holder. This goes on the bottom of the drone, so it's adjustable here, and I'll show you that just a little bit later. You can add a pretty big cell phone on it. And this is a really substantial charger that comes along with it. So this is super nice, 1 to 3S balanced charger. And some instructions inside there with your AC adapter. Hopefully that's a US one. If you get one that's a European Union style wall outlet, look up on Amazon and find a converter for that. It will cost you about $4. So now I'll go ahead and I'll take each one of these out of the box, and I'll show you what's included inside each little tiny box for you. So now I'll go ahead and open up the biggest box of the bunch. This is the transmitter box and the parachute box. So go ahead and open up this little tab here for you. I'll show you what's inside. Little foam part off. And this is your 5.8 gigahertz patch antenna that screws onto the right side of the transmitter. And it does not appear to be a parachute in this box. It said there was one, but there's not. So just going to show you this transmitter just a few minutes here. Not going to go into super detail about this right now because we could talk about this transmitter for an hour. But what you have here is you have your 3-inch screen in the middle here for all your telemetry and your real-time video feed, which is super cool. You've got your return to home switch on this side. On this side you have your GPS activation on and off. It's labeled there, GPS. You have your T1 switch on the outside here. This is a dial. This one's not set up on this version. Over here is the T2 switch, and that does control the up-down motion of the gimbal. So that's pretty cool. You also can go into the settings of this transmitter by using the exit and enter down and up buttons. If you hold the enter button, push it once, and it'll go into the menus for you. You have your trim switches here and your on-off button in the middle. And you also have your battery compartment back here, which you can take, I believe, 8 AA batteries. But you can also use a 3S LiPo in here. As long as it's 11.1 volt, you can use that in this charger, and that's pretty cool. But don't use the charge cable if you're using a LiPo. Don't use the charge lead. Charge the LiPo on your standalone charger or on the one that's provided with the kit. So now we'll go ahead and we'll open up the next box. Kind of bummed that there's no parachute in my box, and I will have to ask GearBest, hey, what's up with that, GearBest? Why no parachute in my version? Hopefully you guys, if you ordered this one, you got a parachute with yours. Somehow I got gypped for a parachute. Kind of bummed about that. So we'll go ahead and open up these other boxes. This is the H109S prop guards. That is the code name for this copter, the H109S. And let's check out the quality of the prop guards. I'll give you my opinion on those. They seem pretty decent. They're hollow on the bottoms with reinforcements in between each section here. And they are rounded at the edges. I do like that. That's a nice feature. It looks like they just attach with 2 bolts here, so they won't be too hard to put on and off. Underneath motor A here, they are labeled as well. That's cool. It's A, motor A, and these 2 should be B. Yep. So prop guards are great if you guys are just getting into this and you're new. I would suggest putting the prop guards on for the first few days at least, and after that you can take them off when you learn to fly a little better. Now this propeller box has some other things in it besides props. I have a pretty heavy duty antenna cable in here. This looks like a 2.4 antenna. happens, I have a prop tool in here, which is always cool to use. What this does is this goes down on the motor itself and holds the motor in place while you spin the prop down. So if you're taking the props off, you can use this to hold the motor in place and while you take the prop off. That's very nice to have that. We also have another USB cable in here. This is USB to micro USB. And now we have 2 sets of props in here, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and check out the quality of those. Those look okay. And for the price, you know, I'm really not complaining about what I see here for around, I think it was like $370 on the GearBest site. And this looks like an A prop, and this is a B prop. So the A props are going to be right turn props, and your B props are going to be left turn. So you always start, like I said in a lot of my videos, you always start at the right rear, and that'll be a right turn, and then you move up to motor 2 right in front of that one. The front right motor would usually be a left turn prop. Third motor in the very back, on the back left, that would also be a left turn prop, a B prop, and then the very front, again, that would be a right turn prop for motor A. Go ahead and take the rest of those out. And that's it for these 2 boxes. Let's go ahead now and let's move on to the next part of the unboxing, and then we'll show you some basic setups for your X4 Pro. Now this is the Hubsan HS 1080p camera. This is the one that comes along with your X4 Pro. I'll go ahead and open that up for you. That's what it looks like from the front. And I'll take the camera out. Check out the quality of the camera. It feels a little bit light, a little bit lighter than I would expect. I'm kind of looking for a GoPro feel, but there isn't a battery in there yet, so maybe that'll add a little bit of weight to it. But with quadcopters, lighter is better. There's the battery down in here. So the battery, let's see what size that is. That's a 3.7. That'd be a 1S battery, and that is a 650 milliamp battery. 2.4 WH on there. You can see that up close. If we can get that to focus there. And I'm sure you can get those extra. Look up that part number inside your manual. It should be in the very back. We'll just look in the rest of this box, make sure there's nothing else in there. I'll go ahead and peel this tape off the front of the lens. Be careful, because there is a little bit of adhesive on that tape over top of the lens. So we see a record button here and a power button there. It looks like there's a micro SD card up in the very top. It doesn't have one in there, so you might have to provide one with yours. So I'll go ahead and slide that battery in there. And this does charge via USB. So it's got a couple teeth here. Push it down right there. And it has a tab, kind of like the GoPro batteries on there. You can pull it out. This just slides on and snaps in place. Pretty cool. So now we'll move on to the next box. So this is the box for your phone mount that will go on the bottom of the drone. And it looks like it will hold my iPhone 6 on here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and give that a shot and see if it'll fit on this gimbal. And this is what it looks like out of the box. You can see the servo lead here. That's how you're going to get power. And it looks like it might actually have a servo inside here. So it might be tiltable, and that would be super cool if it was tiltable. It's like nothing else in the box. So this should come down. This should release. See how this works here. This will swing down, that's what happens. This part swings down. First time I've ever seen it. Definitely a servo inside there, guys. Go ahead and move this one down, swing this one down a little bit. See if I can get my iPhone 6 Plus in there. Move it to the farthest bottom point. And these are all the way out, so Wondering if that's going to fit. It might just barely fit in there. You might actually have to take this all the way off, if it'll come all the way off. It doesn't come all the way off. Okay. This is a good test for you guys that have iPhone 6s, 6 Plus. Just gonna see if this will actually fit on there. It doesn't look like it wants to accept my iPhone 6 Plus, so that's kind of a disadvantage for me, because I won't be able to use this holder. It's not going to accept the 6 Plus. Move it out just a little further. See if I can get it in there. Yep, not going to fit, guys. So that is not going to work. So kind of disappointed that it won't hold an iPhone 6 Plus. But it should fit anything under 6 inches. That's kind of a bummer. But then again, I might not send my iPhone up on a drone. That's totally up to the owner. Okay. Now the last box we have here to look at, this is the Hubsan charger that comes along with your X4. This is actually a pretty substantial charger because you can do 1 to 3S batteries on this one. You can also charge those little tiny 1S batteries that come along with the cheaper Hubsan multi-rotors and quads out there. And that's pretty cool because they're giving you a nice value. They also include a JST lead in here, which is super awesome. So you can do a couple different types of batteries. It does have these 2 terminals here. So if you have other types of leads, you can charge any other types of batteries that'll accept this, that accept that connector there with the banana leads. So you can do 1S, 2S, or 3S battery, which is super nice. And this is a 50-watt charger, by the way. So it'll charge at a pretty decent charge rate. You have your balance charge manual, instruction manual here. Shows you your LEDs and your balance lead layout. And you have 11 to 18 volts DC power on this charger. And they've really been stepping their game up with their chargers. The past few that I've seen have been really substantial. This is a nice one. So you have your LED indicators here indicating 1S, 2S, and 3S there on this battery charger. And it has short circuit protection as well, so and reverse polarity protection. That's really important. If you plug in something backwards, it's not going to fry it. So probably on the leads here, these 2 leads, this ground negative here and positive here, you have some leads that come along with it inside the box here. This is your AC adapter for US cable. It looks like I got the European Union cable. So if you get one like this, like I said, look on Amazon.com and you can find a converter for that. I have a couple of them here at the shop. And I'll look in the bottom of the box, and these are the leads that come along with it. This was an XT60 banana plugs that plug in the bottom here. I just plug those in, show you how they go. Now when you charge your battery, make sure you plug in your XT60 to your battery, and then on the side here, plug in your balance lead so you get a good balance charge on your battery, because each cell has to have a decent balance, and they want to be the same as the other cells, starting at 3.7 volt. Now you also see right here, if you can look really close, and I'll get this to focus here, it says micro here on the very end. That's where you can charge those other little 1S batteries. So this is super cool. A lot of options with this charger. I'll go ahead and put this lead back in there. And this is the JST charger that comes along with it too. So a lot of other little toy drones and stuff come with JST batteries. And you can plug this one in and use this one as well on this charger. So very, very nice charger that comes along with it. Not just for the Hubsan X4. This is pretty decent. Now I'm going to show you guys really quickly how to set up your first battery charge. Go ahead and slide the battery out the back of your X4. It should just slide right out. Make sure you move this out of the way when you slide it out, because it is kind of a tight fit there. And the first thing you want to do is hook up your balance lead. Don't ever forget to balance charge. Balance charging your cells will take care of the battery in the long run, and it should give you more longevity for the battery life for this particular battery. And also don't tend to overfly them. If they say it flies 30 minutes, fly it for 25, and you'll save a little bit of the longevity of this battery. So go ahead and plug in the XT60 next. You'll hear this beep, and now you see that each LED indicator is lit up. Now we're charging all 3 cells, and after it's finished, they'll all be green and you'll be good to go. You can go out for your first flight. Now before you put your camera on your quad and mount it to the gimbal for the first time for your first flight, make sure you take the cable that came along with it in the box. This is a full-size mini USB connector on the other side of this one. It's different than the other USB that I showed you, the micro USB. Let's see if we can put that in there. Charges from the side in any USB port. And go ahead and leave that on the charger for some time. And once you get a full charge on this, it should tell you on this little LED indicator here. And then you can go ahead and mount it to your gimbal. Now you're looking at the front of the quad here, and you're looking at the very front of the gimbal on your X4. So go ahead and remove this bolt right at the top of this swing arm and put that to the side somewhere safe. And there's a little tooth on the bottom that goes up inside this arm. Make sure that that tooth is snug in the arm when you put this back on, because if you don't, it's just going to be hanging off the bottom, and that might be bad for your camera. It could actually fall out of the gimbal. So go ahead and put it back in and make sure that's inside and the tooth is snug in place, and go ahead and put the bolt there. And you're going to press record here. You can do it on the ground. You should be able to do it in the transmitter. Hopefully. You can press your power on button there. You'll see the LED light up. Now I know you guys are going to ask me, does it fit a GoPro? And that's why I have it sitting here. I have a Hero 3 Black here, and it's roughly the same size as this Hubsan 1080p HD camera. So I'll go ahead and take this off for you real quick. Before I do that, one last thing. You're going to connect this cable here before you fly. Very important, so you have gimbal operation there. So you can move your gimbal up and down. It doesn't move side to side. So we'll go ahead and remove this arm, set this to the side here, and I'll set the GoPro in there. Now I do not know if this will work on the one with the motorized brushless motors on it. That is yet to be determined, mainly because the weight is going to be different on the Hero 3 and the Hero 4, as well as the Hero 5. The Hero 5 most likely will not fit on this gimbal setup, mainly because the Hero 5 is actually a little wider, a little thicker than the Hero 3 and 4. But you can use the Hero 3 Black for sure, and the Hubsan HD camera. Pretty cool. And this cable can also fit in the side of the GoPro here as well and power your servo. Now I did want to show guys on the channel that are interested in seeing it work with a GoPro that it actually does send the video to my transmitter monitor here and to our external monitor. So I'll go ahead and plug in the cable on the side of the GoPro, and I'll make sure that the GoPro is turned on. I'll press once on the mode button, which is the power button, and that'll turn on. I can turn on the transmitter here and plug in the, see, I'll make sure I turn it off and then back on. Turn the drone on next. So now you'll see the gimbal go down and come back up and initialize. And you should see video come through to the external monitor and on the main screen. Now if it doesn't come through right away, make sure you press the power button on your GoPro again. And there we go, we have video on the screen for telemetry on both monitors, one on the transmitter and on the external monitor. That's pretty cool. So if you're looking to do GoPro video, you will be able to do that with the Hubsan X4. Now, will it work to start recording the video? That is a good question. Let's go ahead and try that. We press the exit menu button there. We'll press and hold that to get it to start recording. So the exit button doesn't work as a record button with the GoPro. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do that manually. So you're going to have to press record here on the screen, However, if you look on the monitor here, you see a little red icon of a movie camera up at the very top left, and that lets you know you're recording on your GoPro. So that's also pretty cool, and it's given me some telemetry here that's telling me I've been recording for 19-20 seconds. That's pretty awesome. It also shows the same thing right here at the very top of the monitor on the transmitter. So either way, you guys are good to go with GoPro. So right now you're looking at the back of the quad and you see a JST connector hanging down here. This doesn't do anything on this particular edition of the quad. This is a low edition, so we don't have any use for that. So take a piece of tape and just tape it up on there. It also has a label that says caution on there. It's only for the 3-axis gimbal. So don't worry about this unless you upgrade later. If you put the 3-axis gimbal on your low edition, which you might be able to do, you can plug this in later. But for now, we can just get that out of the way. Now over here on the right-hand side of the quad, you see this little port sticking out the side? This is for that larger connector that came along with it in your props pack. So go ahead and screw that on. And it also bends, so it'll actually come down and out of the way. You don't want it sticking up because the props will surely hit it. So you want to have this sticking down for a proper signal transmission to your transmitter. So now it's time to put your props on before you go out for your first flight, and go ahead and grab that prop tool that you saw earlier. And I generally give a prop lesson with most of my new drones and new drone pilots. If you guys are watching this, this is a great lesson. Normally we start with the right rear, and the right rear is generally speaking a right turn prop. But on this particular quad, it's actually a left turn prop. Now Hubsan's done this a little differently than most quads out there. So this one is going to be a left turn motor. We're going to go ahead and give that a right spin until it comes down to a stop, and then after it stops, go ahead and take your prop tool and put in between your motor, see right there, and go ahead and give it a little tighter turn if you can by hand until you feel it's really snug on there. That way you're going to have a nice firm propeller. Now we'll go ahead over here and do this next one. This is going to be A, and that should spin to the left. All the A props will spin to the left to tighten, and when they spool up, they'll spin to the right. So what we have here so far is left turn, right rear. Over on the left hand side in the rear, we also have a right turn here. So we have a B prop here and an A prop there. Now we'll go to the front of the quad on the front right. The front right should be an A prop, and that should spin down. Give it a spin to the right. I'll try left, it goes left. Okay. Go ahead and hand tighten it down a little more using your prop tool. And now we'll do the front left, which is going to be a B prop. And that should be right turn to spin down. Spin it till it stops. Use your prop tool. And now you're good to go with your props. So now we'll go ahead and take this little screw out of the back of the transmitter, and you can open up this battery bay, and you have an option here. You have two options. One is your battery tray for your AA batteries. This is 8 AA batteries in here. If you want to use that, it plugs in by a JST connector here. So optionally, you can do this, and this is what I do. I have a little 850 milliamp. This is a 3S battery. It's 11.1 volt. If you want to get a LiPo battery and plug this into the back of the transmitter to power it, you can do that, and then you can charge this one on your standalone charger that came along with your Hubsan. So it does have that balance lead here, and you've got a JST here, which they included in this kit. So this will help you out a lot and save you from having to buy a lot of AA batteries. So I'll go ahead and plug in this battery, and you want to make sure that the polarity is right when you plug it in. The flat side needs to be up, and then you'll be able to power on your transmitter. And the thickness of this battery is about close to 1.25 inches. So anything more than 1.25 inches might not fit in the back of this battery bay. And I'll go ahead and take this screw and I'll screw that into the back of the transmitter. But for now, I have power. So now I can turn on the quad. with these antennas also, these are patch antennas, and this is running your video signal. Make sure this is always facing up when you fly, very, very important. And this is the signal from the quadcopter that's giving your signal control for your sticks and your motor controls. So now I showed you the options on the radio for the different style batteries, and now we can go ahead and turn on the transmitter, and I'll show you how the camera works with the T2 button there. And before you turn anything on indoors, if you're a new guy just getting into this, if you're doing any firmware updates on the side of your drone, where the little USB port is on the side, on this side right here, the micro USB port, if you're doing that, make sure you have your props off. That's very important. Kind of the #1 rule of working on drones indoors. But when you're outside and you're about to take off, you can do this procedure. So what you do is you go ahead and turn on your transmitter, wait just a second for it to beep, and it'll load fully, and now you can spin the drone around. And after you have your battery in, go ahead and plug in your XT60 there, and you'll see some flashing lights. Now leave it setting where it is, don't move it. It's checking the gyro sensor inside the drone. I'll leave it completely level. Once it goes to the compass calibration screen, then you can take it and do your full rotation on the horizontal axis. And try not to put your hands over top of the drone itself, because if you do that, you're blocking the compass and the GPS below here. So the GPS is located somewhere along the top level of the drone, usually inside the shell here. So you don't want to cover that up while you're rotating. So I like to hang on to it with the outside arms as I rotate it. Now once you rotated it enough on the horizontal axis, around in a circle this direction, the screen will change and actually tell you, at the bottom of the screen, it'll tell you to rotate on the vertical axis. And what that means is you're going to point the drone straight at the ground, nose first, and you're going to rotate it along this axis. And the lights will turn solid green when you're finished, and the controller will beep, and it'll show successful that you've done that calibration. So it's very important to do that when you go to any new flying field. Now there's a couple things you need to know when you first turn this on. If you don't see any video here on your transmitter, all you see is this telemetry here. And I'm going to show you what all this is in just a minute. But if you don't see any video here, you can look on the power button on the front of your camera. Make sure your camera is turned on. Push it one time, and then your camera should turn on. If you still don't see video, make sure that this little cable on the side of the camera is plugged in. That's also very important. And if you still don't see video, another tip is to push a little harder on this cable here to make sure that this cable is correctly seated in the side of the camera. I did have it just gently pushed in earlier, and it didn't show up the video. So that you might want to take that in consideration. Now let's show you a little closer, after I show you this T2 wheel, how it rotates here. And I'll turn the drone just a little bit so you can see a little better. So this goes all the way down, almost past vertical. It's kind of almost looking backwards, which is kind of neat. And it comes all the way forward here to a straight horizontal. But you can hear that servo winding. If you push it all the way to the top, the servo winds. And what that means is the servo is reaching the full extent, which could damage the servo motor inside the servo. So you don't want to leave that all the way up at the top for too long periods of times. You want to just angle it off that axis just a little tiny bit so you don't hear that. You might even want to put a mark on your transmitter just to let you know where that top axis is, where it's not, where the servo is not binding. You don't hear that electronic screech. Now let me bring the transmitter a little closer to the camera, and I'll show you guys some of the cool telemetry that comes in along with the X4. Now you're looking at the front of the transmitter here, and we can go ahead and talk about what you see first here. This is the sunshade over the top of the 3.5-inch screen, and you have some buttons down bottom here. You also have a little neck strap hook right here. You've got your throttle stick and your yaw stick on this side, and that is a self-centering stick, by the way. You'll notice if you put it down at the bottom, it goes back to center. That's because this is an altitude hold style drone, and it holds its altitude when you let go of the stick. It maintains enough throttle to maintain a level altitude, and that's pretty cool for a lot of aerial photography drones. Now on the right hand side we have the roll stick and your pitch on this stick over on the right. Up on the very top over T1 over here, that's not actually active. We're not using GPS. We can flip that up and down, and we can turn GPS on and off. Over here we also have the return to home switch, so if something goes really wrong we can flip this and return to home, and the quad will come back and land. Super cool. We're not using the B button switch, and we can go ahead and open up this sunshade to the little 3.5-inch screen in here, and you see a variety of telemetry in here. It's actually pretty cool and it's pretty useful. So I'll move this back a little bit. Let's see, some of these buttons down here, we'll show you what that does. Exit seems to start the recording for the video. So you see a little red blinking dot there. So now we're recording in 1080 HD. We'll press it again and you see the video icon reappear. I'll just bring this up a little bit more so you can see it. So also the up button puts our telemetry back on the screen. So if you really want to see what we're doing when we're filming and setting up a shot, we can move the telemetry out of the way because it's not very important when we're trying to film. And now up here at the very top you see a little icon that says RX. That means we have a connection to the quad and to the transmitter itself. The RX is the receiver. So over here we also have the onboard battery for the drone and the voltage. We're at 12.3 there, and then we have our transmitter voltage over here on the right, and that right now is 11.9. Over here we have roll, pitch, and we have our speed, and right now we're at 0 meters per second, so it says 0 there, and we're all zeroed out. Now we have distance, that would be the distance from home, and that's in meters. And we also have an altitude one right below that, and that's also in meters. And normally you get some more information down here. The very bottom you also get latitude and longitude. So like someone else showed in one of their other reviews, if you lose signal with your drone, you will still have all the same telemetry at the last known point of communication with the drone. So you'll still have the last known longitude and latitude of your drone on the transmitter. So don't turn your transmitter off right away if you lose connection with your quad. Let it go into failsafe. If failsafe doesn't work and it never returns to home, take a picture of those numbers with your cell phone or enter them into a GPS locator on your phone and try to go retrieve your drone with your phone. So very important to be able to do that. Now I wanted to show you this. If you lose GPS signal, it's actually going to start beeping and show you GPS signal lost on this transmitter. So that is actually really valuable for you as a drone pilot. You know that all of a sudden you have no altitude, you have altitude holds still, but you don't have GPS holds. So what that means is that your drone is going to start drifting in space, and it's not going to hold that center spot any longer. It will hold its altitude, but it's not going to respond and stay within 1 square meter like it would before. You can also move the GPS switch, and you see now that altitude hold is now on, and that's going to be ADI mode, which will essentially, like it's skating on ice, it's going to drift to one direction. Now I'll go ahead and turn the drone off. And now that we see that we've lost the video screen here, you would still have your main coordinates on here, which is pretty cool. So you see 000 here because we don't have a GPS signal here in the studio, but if we were outdoors, we would see a variation of numbers here, latitude and longitude. So very, very useful. So I want to show you some other features of the controller before we move on to the next part of the video. I have some pretty interesting monitor setup to show you guys. If you want to use an external monitor with this Hubsan X4, I'm going to show you how to do that. But first I want to show you some of these buttons down below. We have some buttons here: exit, up and down, and enter. Like I showed you before, the exit button, that's what's going to start recording. So what I do is I make a paper label here, and I actually put video record here for this button, so it lets me know that that's kind of my shutter button for photos as well. So that the up button removes the telemetry like we showed you before. Down doesn't seem to do anything. And enter, if you press and hold enter, it should, let's put the throttle down. Okay, so pressing and holding enter while the throttle is down will get you into the menu mode. And now you can use your up and down arrows here, and you can set reverse some of the elevator aileron. Don't suggest messing with any of that. So you want to go out of that. Don't play around with reversing your surfaces. That could really make your quad crash. And you don't want to do any of this while you're flying, by the way. You can set the sensitivity. You can go in there, you can change your elevator, aileron, and rudder sensitivity. I'd probably leave those all at 100%. You can also set manual mode, and a lot of times I like to fly in manual mode, so I'll turn that on for myself. And I'll go ahead and exit out of that. I'll go down. Expert mode is on, yes. And I'm in stick mode too. Also running on 5.8 frequency. And you can change the megahertz there if you want to. We're going to go down and we can show version. And that shows me the current version on my H109S down here below, version 1.6. And up the top on the 906A, that's the transmitter version of the firmware on this transmitter. So that's actually some pretty cool information. You can look this up online and find out what your current firmware is. I'll go back out of this and we'll exit this, press and hold to exit. So that's about all the features and the functions of this transmitter. And normally if you're in GPS hold, it should also show on the bottom of the screen here somewhere an M2 that lets you also know that you're in mode 2, which is North American standard. People ask me a lot if they can use an external monitor with their drone, and that seems to be something that a lot of people want to do. So I'm going to show you how to do that with your Hubsan X4, and it's pretty simple. You just need to get yourself an external monitor that picks up 5.8. I'll try to put a link down below in the video description for you. But what you need is an external battery if it doesn't have one internally, and go ahead and turn it on. You want to also circular polarized antenna with it. This is a very, very good antenna. So press and hold this and get it to power up. And what I'm going to need to do is go into my channels, and I'm going to need to find this video signal if it doesn't pick it up automatically. So I'll go into the menu here, and this one's all in Chinese, so it's a lot of fun to try to find which channel it is. Okay, I'm going to press OK, and I'm just going to cycle through these until I find which signal it is, but it should pick up the signal. And once it does, you won't see all the telemetry, but if you wanted to record this on an external monitor, you could do this, and this is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead now and exit that. Should go out of the menu. Okay, so now you can see that we also have the capability to do an external monitor, which is super cool. And these are, anywhere from $40 on up to a couple hundred, depending on how large of a monitor you want. You can get these up to like 10 inches if you want, with batteries inside them. You can get dual diversity antennas, and you can get really fancy with your monitors, but this is a fairly affordable one. Like I said, probably in the $40 to $50 range. I'll try to put a link below for that, but this is a standard 7-inch monitor. I'm powering it with a little 3S 850 here just for the demo. But that's how you have an external monitor for your X4. Pretty cool. So some folks out there want to know how much the X4 weighs with the battery on it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you now what it weighs. It's still on, but I'm just going to set it on here, see if I can get it to balance here without touching the bench. see, okay, it's off the bench. So we're looking at 1,200 grams here, 1,221 to be exact. So now I finally got it to balance just right without touching the bench, just barely not touching the bench, but we're at 2.69 pounds, which is not too bad. It is over the registration point for your FAA number. You want to have your FAA number on this one and your registration number on there while you're flying it. But not as heavy as I thought it was going to be, actually. With this large 3S 7,000 milliamp battery, it's quite large. I could take the battery out and weigh the battery for you real quick as well. And the battery itself is weighing in at 0.84 pounds, just under a pound. Alright guys, that's about it for the Hubsan X4, and hopefully during this video you learned something new about it. If you watch the other videos and you're looking for further information, or if you're thinking about buying one, hopefully this video helps you out and taught you something new about it, and possibly about the further capabilities that this drone has to offer. Like, it will hold a GoPro and you can use an external monitor pretty easily. You also have some options on the very bottom of the transmitter to do some video out. And you have another micro USB, or this is actually a mini USB port on the bottom here of the transmitter of this particular edition. But I've had a lot of fun with this one. It has a ton of options, and as far as camera drones are concerned, this is not like a racing drone or anything by any means, but it is quite capable of producing some really good video, and that is going to be the part 2 edition of our video. We're going to take you out to the field like it was your first day out at the field and show you guys what to do, how to set it up, how to calibrate the compass, and all that good stuff in that drone camp style like we've been doing for years to help you guys out. So thanks again for subscribing and hanging out with me and checking out the latest drone tech. This has been the Hubsan X4 Pro Low Edition. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one.